Hello everyone, I am Duke James. This is Meiou and Taxes 3.0 as Hungary. Alright, so the war is over. We spent 165 ducats of wealth during the war. I guess we did. I don't think we did, though. I think that's just total ducats in terms of total expenses, because I don't think we spent 165 ducats directly on the war. So that's weird. But we did loot 129 ducats, 32 of which is kept by me and put into the treasury as it was being looted, and the rest was distributed to your soldiers, so there's no longer wealth at the end. It's given to your soldiers during the war, and you get it during the war as well. And there was about less than 1,000 people killed. No civilians lost because we didn't lose any provinces. The other thing is that apparently you can core stuff without... You can just core stuff immediately. I don't know if they're going to put the martial law in the game, or if they're going to make it so that you can't core stuff immediately, but yeah, you can do that, at least as of right now. And there's also 1,000 base value of states, so you don't have to worry about states. I assume that's because you can't make any money unless provinces are stated. So I think that's why they made it that you can core stuff immediately, because you'll never make any money unless it's stated. At least that's what I was told. So I assume that is the way. Burden of taxation. Okay, so the labor demand in this province is actually, the labor demand is decreasing because the industry's size is decreasing, but the labor supply is also increasing. It went from about 30, I think it was 35 to 36 to 37, so that's because people are coming into the province. They're migrating to the province or they're being born. So there's going to be eventually an equilibrium between the labor supply and labor demand, probably around 38 or 39, I imagine. And the labor difference between burghers is no longer negative. And you can see the rural wage is also decreasing. I believe it was 11 ducats. It's now slightly below 10. I think the industries themselves are still unprofitable, though. They're slightly less unprofitable. So we'll eventually reach an equilibrium, but I think overall it's probably better just to put 10 or 20 ducats in. So we lost just a random stability drop. Notice that happens sometimes. I don't know why. Just randomly lose stability. We can go ahead and support the church again. We could, last time we did lavishly endow the church. I'm going to do just donating to the church. Knowledge sharing ended. We're slowly getting commercialization. Commercialization starts, I don't know if it starts, but it's a lot easier spread. It's spread a lot easier, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not like banking where it has to slowly expand. And I think that's because of the massive amount of trade centers. There's also, this province is getting it because of institution invention. I assume that's because of the higher education in the province. So they're either teaching or making books or something, and they're getting that institution in that province because of that. We're not getting that yet. I do have higher education. Its size is 4.4 though. Makes... its income is 10 ducats. It spends 3 ducats, so it's actually making 7 ducats. I don't think there's any other province in my country that has 10,000 residents. That one has 1.5. Maybe this one? Yeah, this one does. 11,788. There's no higher education here, so we should be able to open that up in that province. Go ahead and select that province. Open new slots. Scroll down to higher learning. And higher education is now present in that province. I think it starts at 5, so it actually decreased from 5 to 4.4 here before it actually started making money. The other stuff I noticed... So there's wheat. The food is wheat, rice, maize, which is corn, millet, potato, fishery, pasture, nomadic pasture. And there's sea salt, rock salt. Sea salt is if you have a port, rock salt is if you have a salt deposit, which we actually have a couple rock salt deposits. Plant fiber, dye. Historical dyes production cannot be modified. Timber, coal. We do have coal, but you have to have commercialization. Metal raw, precious metal. So gold and silver, gold, silver. Okay, I'm not sure what the difference between precious metal and gold and silver are. Cash crop, which is an exotic. Spices, game, any forest. Do we have game here? So we don't have game here. There's pearls, ivory. There's a lot of stuff here. Houseware, textile, armaments, ship, processed material. These are just always. Religious education, always. I think most provinces have religious education. Yeah, I think every province has religious education. But not every province has commerce, which is interesting. This province doesn't have commerce. Because you need 1.5k urban pop for that. Actually, that makes sense. Silk, 5 urban development, and the continent is Asia, that area. Chinaware, carpet, cottage industry, luxury cloth, marble, and sericulture. Luxury cloth, you need 5 urban development. Which we don't have in our capital. I think once we get access to that, I'll put that in there, actually. You can only have 14 industries. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We have 11 in pest, so we can get 3 more. Imagine in pest, I wouldn't want to... If you have a city, you probably want to focus on the stuff at the end, not the raw resource production. You want to focus on the finished goods like luxury cloth and stuff like that. Processed material. We already make processed material in this town. Actually, so we make wheat, pasture, plant fibers, timber, cottage industry, textile, processed materials, armaments, religious education, higher education, commerce. they are going to, or they intend to make it possible to destroy industries if you want to put a new one. But that's not actually in the game yet, as far as I know. I was told they were working on it. So one of our provinces has salt mines. Yeah, like this province over here has metal. It has metal and salt. Rock salt and metal. Rock salt gives 100% profitability. So I'm thinking the mines are the most, in terms of the rural resources, the mines are the most profitable. Because the rock salt gives 101% profitability and the metal gives 65% profitability. Imagine the metal is probably just a byproduct of the rock salt. Because it only produces 6 outputs, whereas the rock salt produces 23 outputs. There's a bubonic plague in Ast. Where is Ast? I don't know where Ast is. So I'm wondering, how do you, if there's a salt excise, it's not a tax on the production of salt, it's a tax on the consumption of salt. So how do you get your people to consume more salt? Maybe just as you get more people, they consume more salt? Because most of these, like the timber excise, you just increase your production of timber. And like tollage, alcohol is your food production, so you'd increase your food production to get more tax from that. And I think like chattel, that's just a wealth tax. Property tax, increase your property. Stuff like that. Anyway, our income's actually... Taxation is decreased to 6.26. That's because our forced limit keeps dropping. Well, that's not due to taxation, but that is due to... That's increasing our total expenses. What does overextension do? Does it do the same thing? Overextension gives stability increase interval, yearly corruption, and monthly autonomy change. So it does not affect taxation anymore. And these actually seem pretty bad if you go up to 100, more than 100%. These will probably add up, so that is not great. But I think overextension... If you don't have to have the provinces have no unrest, and if monarch points are easier to come by and used less on tech, probably easier to control overextension. I guess there's no point really to keep troops over your force limit since you get the manpower back. So I'll go ahead and delete those. Go ahead and try to get our estates loyal again. Let's do... We don't want to spend more legitimacy since our legitimacy is in the tank. which really isn't due to anything. It's just decreasing by itself. Like it wasn't due to a major event. The base value is -1. None of the other positives actually doesn't seem like they add up to more than 1. So it's just decreasing by itself. Interesting. But from our current legitimacy, the effects are national unrest -0.02, tolerance to true faith 0.01, diplorep plus 0.2, so it doesn't seem like the effects of legitimacy are really that strong. And we're at 52, and it's actually not... They're still positive. So that doesn't... I think it's balanced around not 100. Because the negative effects from this, there aren't even negative effects, but our legitimacy is 50. So I'm thinking legitimacy is not hugely important anymore, because if this was 100, I think these would just double, so our national unrest would be 0.04. So I don't think there's any reason for me not to do this. Let's disown an unpopular relative. Okay, now we get... Okay, so... I think below 50 is bad, because now national unrest is 0.21. Still manageable. I mean, that's not... It's not too horrible, actually. Our unrest is still -0.866, so... Doesn't seem that horrible. Let's do the burgers. Can we give back the... I think the thing that we gave them relating to commerce expires in 69, I want to say. Probably don't want corruption. Let's go ahead and give grain back to the peasants. Gives us a stability point, which makes our national unrest -12, which means legitimacy. Who cares? So this is pretty much going to be a playthrough of really just trying to get these passed, these reforms passed, so then you take away power from the estates, you can have new ways of taxing your people to raise income, and then pretty much just giving your people, giving your estates favors. They also have privileges still, so you also have to try to balance revoking privileges with taking reforms. That's the sense I'm getting. And apparently it's not really viable to invest in infrastructure yourself, so I guess they really just want you to build these buildings. You know what, I'm going to do test. Let's, I don't think I put any money into Banat. So the labor demand is 12, the labor supply is 20, so I'm going to throw 20 ducats into the timber in this province. We'll see what happens then. So I'm not going to do 100 ducats, or 150 or whatever ducats I put into pest. So we'll see how much that labor demand increases with 20 ducats. The state owns no forests. So we'll also see how much 20 ducats gives us in terms of forests. Peasants 13, nobles 15.5, clergy 10.5. I also suspect that the peasants, nobles, and clergy also increase their size. not getting commercialization. This increased a lot. This realm expense is about doubled. Not sure why. Maybe the grain dole? Did I give a grain dole? Yeah, I gave a grain dole. I think that's why. Potentially. We're experimenting. Could withdraw support from the knights. I mentioned that before. I don't think it's that much money. There is... So our corruption is increasing 0.3 about. Corruption is 24.5. You get corruption from your advisors. We're getting 20.25 from our advisors. Overextension a little bit. Your admin tech reduces corruption. And then there's a stat corruption point something. Don't know what those are. Probably some internal corruption that you're supposed to get for some reason. Maybe relating to privileges. There are two things. Actually, there's three things. Ceremonial court, regal envoys, and familial appointments. That's adding 1.5 corruption. I believe those three are all privileges. I know familial appointments is a noble privilege, so I imagine regal envoys and ceremonial court are also. Actually, the burghers have reduced tax exemptions and reduced service exemptions. They don't tell you anything. But they also don't decrease stability if they don't say they do, so. And the clergy just have reduced tax exemptions. The burghers are who has everything, so I think maybe those three are all from here. There's a lot. Restore commuted dues. Mana cost. Negative 20% mana cost for noble dues. And it increases your tax from nobles. This increases your manpower from nobles. And negative mana cost for noble levies. Negative noble gravity. Negative 2.5% base rate for all peasantry dues owed to the nobles. Negative 10% of all revenue from game industry. So the nobles have control of the game industry then, even if the state controls it? Yeah, they hold a partial theoretical monopoly over all hunting and fishing, leading to a confusing arrangement for the common folk, most commonly resulting in a notably severe tithe. Then there is the forestry monopoly. 10% of all revenue from forestry industry transferred to noble wealth. So if I build a Banat for their forestry industry, probably want to get rid of that. Because I assume they take it even if the state owns it. Or is that just 10% of all revenue from forestry industry that the nobles control? Restrict noble courts, negative noble gravity, negative base hierarchy, negative 10% local autonomy, negative 5% local corruption, base welfare. I think this looks like a good one to get rid of. Codified titles of the court, negative 5% aristocratic influence, negative 5 base relations, negative 0.25 yearly corruption, and negative 2% prestige decay. So this is one of the corruption ones. Landlord sovereignty, there's a lot. Landlord sovereignty. Negative 10% autonomy from nobles. Base hierarchy. Negative 0.25. Negative 50% mana cost of land tax. Plus 5% bureaucrats needed per 1,000 rural population. You could demote the nobles. power shift speed, loyalty shift speed, plus 5% aristocratic influence, withdraw family from administration, so that reduces your yearly legitimacy and yearly prestige negative gain, and decreases corruption. And then extending diplomatic service gives a diplomatic relation for negative diplomatic... I don't think these are... It gives negative 0.5 diplomatic reputation, but I assume the thing that's currently there gives worse. Then it gives 15% improved relations, negative 0.25, plus 0.25 yearly corruption. So it looks like it's worse, like you're trading one diplomatic relation for all those negative things, but I assume you're gaining one diplomatic relation and you're decreasing the negative effects of the other things. Don't know how to actually see their privileges. Oh, there we go. Review noble privileges. Yeah, so currently this the diplomacy thing gives -1 diplomat, -1 diplomatic relation, +1 diplomatic reputation, plus 25% improved relations modifier, plus 0.5 base hierarchy, and plus 0.5 yearly corruption. So getting rid of that decreases the yearly corruption from 0.5, plus 0.5 to plus 0.25. So it does decrease negatives. So they're all good. Now, determining which one of these you want to get rid of first, I think that takes a little bit of time and experimenting, but I think demoting was always good in 2.52, so that might be good here as well. And then I think it also depends how much one welfare is, because some of these, this one gives +4 welfare, so if welfare is really good, then that might be something you want to get rid of as well early. But that's going to be it for me for this episode. I will continue in the next episode, so thank you for watching, and goodbye.